Hey YouTube, this is Rescue Smart Fan 62. What does the Lucha Brothers, Ricky Starks, and another person have in common? They're all AEW originals. Where are they now? Who knows? That's the problem. Tony Khan has essentially put all of them down the card each passing week because he keeps hiring his new flavor of the week. And it's getting to the point where, you would think with them being originals, they would have something up there, being have title opportunities, this and that. But where are they? Nowhere to be seen. Lucha Brothers, Tony added about a year onto their contracts, so essentially they wouldn't go to WWE if they still decide want to go till about this time next year. Ricky Starks, he hasn't been on AEW TV since March of this year. Daniel Garcia was the other name I was looking for. Where's he been? Nobody knows. He had that match with MJF at All Out, I believe it was. And he hasn't been seen since. Mind you, All Out was almost a month ago. Then you get even some of the women, like Britt Baker, for instance. She came back at All In at the end of August. Or somewhere around there. She's not been seen till recently. Jamie Hayter came back on the pre-show of All In. Somebody who's from that area came back on the pre-show. Who looks like a knockoff version of Becky Lynch. And from the 70s. My thing is this. A lot of the older AEW talent are getting essentially the axe over time for Tony's new flavor of the week, new flavor of the month. Then you have somebody like Mercedes Moné, who debuted in March. About, I think it was like 2 weeks before Daniel Garcia hasn't been seen. She debuted at Big Business in Boston. First of all, she didn't really move the needle that much. Putting that aside, she really hasn't moved the needle for AEW since. The one thing that has significantly hurt AEW since, for a while now, has been their tag team division. That was one thing they were always promoting over WWE. Because at the time when AEW started, WWE was cold. Reusing the same people, reusing old bland storylines, having the same people in title opportunities, people like Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and all of that at the time. That was one thing that put AEW over WWE was tag team wrestling. Where's that gone? You have the Bucks, which first of all have a limited schedule. If you are the tag team champions, I'm not saying you should go out and defend those titles every single week, but I'm saying you need to defend them more than once a month or once every 2 months or something like that. Then if Tony wanted to use the Bucks more outside of those dates, he would have to pay them more outside of what was guaranteed. Another person who has essentially been screwed by AEW is Hikaru Shida. She's on one of these limited basis situations. So she had this short feud with Saraya, and it still may be going on. I don't know. But the problem is, was it Saraya? Somebody. The problem is, because of that, she's just sitting at home doing independent dates and all this other stuff. It's just frustrating to see a lot of the either originals or older AEW talent essentially getting the axe. Deonna Purrazzo, who debuted earlier this year when they had Dynamite in New Jersey. She's essentially gone to Saturday nights. It's frustrating to see some of these stars like that essentially getting the axe, not being used a lot. All this different stuff. And it's just frustrating to see that sort of stuff happen to all these people where, yes, they're making more money, but the problem is they're not wrestling as much. So essentially they could just stay home and do whatever and still collect that paycheck every week or 2 weeks. How often AEW pays people. So it's just getting to the point where you have to ask yourself, if I'm a wrestler, why would I choose AEW putting money aside? Yes, you have limited dates that you wrestle, and you can probably work more independent dates. But you're probably going to get put on Rampage, which may be getting canceled, so then what? You're going to go to Saturday nights, and potentially Shockwave if this ever becomes a thing. It's getting to the point with Tony Khan where you don't know what he's going to do. People say there's not a competition between NXT and AEW. But tonight, October 8th, their NXT and AEW are going head to head. Mind you, when AEW starts, NXT has been going on an hour. Unless you are a diehard AEW fan, and you see what's going on, you're going to be like, why am I watching this? It's getting to the point with watching AEW where it's starting to look like the older WWE. And that's not a good thing.